dear learners, welcome back to the new session of Science Class 5th, Chapter number 2, that is Reproduction in Plants. Students, as we all know, that the living organisms are able to produce of their own kind. And if we talk about plant, so being a living organism, plants can also prepare or produce of their own species. Okay, now that whole process of producing new individual by a living organism is known as reproduction. So in this session today, we are going to learn the structure of seeds, the germination of seeds, seed dispersal, reproduction in plants, crops and cultivation. These are the topics which are going to be covered today in this session. First of all, they have asked you to write the correct number for the order of stages of germination. Means that how does the germination of seed process takes place. For that, you have to write the correct order in the particular stage. So first of all, we grow the seed. We sow the seed into the soil. So this is the very first stage. Then slowly what does happen is the root first of all grows towards downward. This is the second stage. Then afterward the shoot parts grows upward. This is the third stage. And then the leaf starts growing out. This is the fourth stage. Okay. Now seeds of different plants are different in their numbers, shape, size, texture and color. What they're saying that different plants have different types of seeds. Why? Because all these seeds differ from each other in their number, shape, size, texture and color. Now first of all we have the topic structure of seed. So after fertilization means when the pollen grains get fertilized with the egg inside the pistil. This we have discussed in our previous chapter also. Over there, what does happen is, after the fertilization, that fertilized egg cell divides multiple times inside the ovary of a flower. And then it forms a collection of cells known as embryo. Afterwards, this plant embryo forms a hard wall. This embryo forms a hard wall around itself, which is known as seed. Alright? Then, as we know that seeds may differ in size, shape and color, but still they have the body parts which are common in every particular type of seed. Okay? They have parts which are common. Now, what are the parts of a seed? That is seed coat, embryo and the food supply. First of all, we have the seed coat. What is it? Seed coat is tough and waterproof. And its function is to cover and protect the embryo and the food supply inside it. Second, we have embryo, which is the baby plant inside that seed. Okay. And then a part of the embryo. Now, this embryo also has two parts. First of all, it has a part known as radicle, which further grows into the primary root. Also, this seed has its own food supply. Okay, and this own food supply of the seed is known as endosperm. After that, the cotyledons or the seed leaf, they are also present in the structure of the seed only. And these cotyledons or seed leaf, what they do, they absorb the food in the endosperm and then transport it to the embryo. Then this baby plant or the embryo is present between these cotyledons only. Okay. Then they develop a new root system, shoot system, which grows into a new healthy plant. Okay? See, peas, beans and green grass seeds, they have two seed leaves, whereas rice, wheat and maize have one seed leaf. Okay? See, what they have given you, the same, that there are some seeds which have two cotyledons. For example, bean, rajma and pea. Okay? And each half of the seed is known as cotyledon only. Okay? What these cotyledons do? They absorb all the food supply. And the seeds which have two cotyledons, they are known as dicotyledons or dicots. Okay? Then there are some other seeds also, like we have corn, rice and maize. These seeds have only one cotyledon. And such type of seeds are known as monocotyledons or simply monocots. Okay? Now next we have the topic of germination of seed. Means how does this process of germination takes place? So first of all, we should understand the meaning of germination. What is it? Germination is the process by which a seed grows into a new plant. Means first of all, when we sow the seed into the soil and when the seed gets all its necessities fulfilled by the nature, then that particular seed will slowly, gradually develops into a new plant. And this whole process of developing a seed into a baby plant, into a new plant is known as germination. So, particularly to germinate, a seed needs major three things, that is water, oxygen and the right temperature. Alright, you can see this is the whole germination process which they have shown you. First of all, this is the seed which we have sown into the soil. Then this is a radical part which will further develop into the root system. Okay, then this is hypocotyl. Then after that the seed coat will break down, the roots have been developed and these seed leaves which provide the food supply, cotyledons, have been developed. After that you can see the first leaf have been emerged. This is the cotyledon part, this is the epicot and this is the hypocotyl. So like this the whole process of germination of seed take place. Now next, soak any kind of seed in water. Now they have explained you the whole germination process. First of all, what you have to do? You have to soak any kind of seed in the water. What they will do? Those seeds will first absorb all the water which they require through its micropyle. Okay? And after absorbing the water, those seeds will swell and they will become large in size. Why? As the water have entered inside those seed. And thus, the hard outer covering known as seed coat will split. And the other coverings also. Then soon, a tiny root which is known as radicle will appear from the seed. And it will grow towards the downward direction. Then a shoot which will become stem in the future. It will also appear and it will grow towards the upward direction. Then the seed with a small root and a small shoot is called a seedling. Means a seed which has developed a small root and also a small shoot. Such type of seed is known as seedling. Then later on, the first leaves appears on the stem. Gradually, the first leaves will appear on the stem and the seed coat will drop off. Okay? See, when the growing seedling uses the food stored in the cotyledons for growth, means when the seedling was in its growing stage, it was using the food which was stored in the cotyledons for its growth. But as the stem part will grow upwards, that means more and more leaves will appear. Why? The cotyledons will become smaller and finally it will drop off. Why? Because by this time the leaves of that growing plant can now already be prepared, or now they are able to prepare their food by the process of photosynthesis. Means when the leaves were not grown, until that time the seed needs the food supply through these cotyledons. But when the leaves starts growing, appearing, then as we know that leaves are the only kitchen part of the plant, Then after that, the leaves can prepare food by themselves for the whole plant with the process of photosynthesis. And thus, the plant will use that particular food only as it will continue to grow further. Okay? Now, next topic which we have is seed dispersion. What is it? Seed dispersion is the process of scattering of seeds away from the mother plant. Means the process when the seeds get scattered away from their mother plant, that is known as seed dispersion. And this process is essential for the better growth of a plant. Now, there are some agents or factors which are responsible for the seed dispersion of a plant, such as wind, water, animals, humans, birds, insects, etc. Okay? See, first of all, we are going to learn about dispersion of seed by wind. See, what does wind do? Wind carries away many seeds. Wind is responsible for dispersing away many seeds. But those seeds should be very light and or they should have wing-like structure. Okay? And thus the seeds will get scattered. For example, the seeds of hiptage, dandelion, cotton, what they do have? They have tufts of hair which make them lightweight. Similarly, sycamore seeds, they are winged, they have wing-like structure. Means what? They will spin through the air like mini helicopters. And thus they will get dispersed from their mother plant with the help of wind. Next, we have dispersion of seeds by water. Means water also acts as an agent for seed dispersion. How? See, there are some plants which grow along the river or the seashores. And such type of plants disperse their seeds through water current. Okay? The seeds of some plants such as coconut, lotus, they get dropped into nearby water body and the fibrous covering of these seeds make them float away and they germinate at different places. You can see this is the coconut seed which is dispersed by water. Next is dispersal of seed by animals and human beings. Means what? That human beings and animals are also responsible for seed dispersion. How? See, as we know that the human beings and animals eat the fruits, but they throw away the seeds inside them. Okay, so apple, mango, orange, etc. All of the seeds of these plants are dispersed by this manner only. Then there are some seeds which have what? Hooks over them, and these hooks stick to the fur of some animals or to the clothes of human beings. And thus they get dispersed away. Alright? For example, cocklebur seed. Cocklebur seeds have hooks which stick to the fur of the animal body or to the clothes of the human being. Next is dispersal of seed by birds. Birds are also responsible for dispersing away the seeds. See, what does birds do? They swallow some seeds. Okay, but these seeds does not get digested inside their body and these seeds come out with their droppings. Then the squirrel, a kind of animal, what does it do? It collects all those nuts and bury them, which is to be used in the winters by them. But sometimes these squirrels forget that where do they have buried those seeds. And when the conditions become favorable for those buried seeds which have been forgotten by the squirrels, then these seeds will germinate over that place only into the new plants. Similarly, by eating fruits also, there are some seeds which get stuck on the beaks of the birds. And when these birds rub their beaks on the bark of trees, those seeds will fall down and later on they will grow into new plants. Now, there are some other methods also of seed dispersion. See, some plants have pods, okay? And these pods explode and burst open when they fully ripen up. And this explosion, this burst will scatter the seeds in all the direction. Example, balsam, pea, ladyfinger, tamarind. The seeds of these plants are dispersed away by the method of explosion only. Then if we talk about poppy seed heads, when they are dried by the sun, they have little holes around their top. Okay. Then they shake when it's windy, and the tiny seeds inside them are thrown out through these holes only. The casing of the fruits from trees. Okay, from the trees, the casing of the fruits from these trees such as chestnuts, they also split when they fall on the ground. And those fruits then rolls away from the tree. This is the tamarind seed, this is the poppy seed, and this is the chestnut. Alright. So this was all about the process of dispersal of seed and the factors or the agents responsible for dispersing the seeds. The next topic which we have is reproduction in plants. So as we all know that every living being needs to reproduce their own kind. To what? For maintaining their species or for maintaining the life continuity on the earth. Every living being needs to produce more of its kind so that its species does not disappear from the earth. And this process only by which the living beings produce more of their kind, more of their new ones, this process is called reproduction process. Now they have discussed some of the methods of reproduction in plants. Okay. Number one, new plants from the spores. Means the plants can grow new plants also from their spores. See, now where are these spores found first of all? These spores are found in fungi like mushroom molds. And these mushrooms and molds do not produce flower. When they do not produce flower, means they do not have reproductive part. Alright? But they also need to reproduce. So how they will reproduce? They reproduce with the help of their spores. The spores are small. These spores are small, round and light. And then they can be easily dispersed in various directions to give rise to new plants. Alright? Second method, we have vegetative propagation. Means there are some plants which can be grown without the seeds also. Usually most of the plants grow with the help of seeds, but some plants can be grown without seed also. Okay, now these plants grow with the help of their other body parts. And the growing plants from their body parts such as root, stem or leaf is called vegetative propagation. Means the reproduction method in which the new plants are grown from their other body part. Instead of seed, these new plants are grown because of their root, stem, leaf. This process or this method of reproduction is known as vegetative propagation. Alright, now they have given you some methods of vegetative propagation of plants. Number one, reproduction by by roots. See, carrot, turnip, radish, sweet potato. These are the roots which store extra food in them. And they are swollen. I hope you all must have observed that they are swollen. Why? Because of that stored food only inside them. And such type of roots are known as tuberous roots. Okay? And when we use these roots, means we sow or we plant these roots in the soil, these roots give rise to new plants. Secondly, reproduction by stem. See, underground stem means what? The stems which grow under the ground, under the soil are known as underground stem. And these underground stems also have food stored inside them. Alright? These stems bear buds, These stems bear small buds from which new plants grow. Example, onion, ginger, potato, all these plants are grown with the help of their stem. Next is reproduction by leaves. See, some plants have leaves which develop buds on their margins. There are some plants which have a type of leaves, and these leaves develop buds around their margin. Now, these buds only develop into plantlets, and these plantlets later separate from the parent plant and then grows into new plant. For example, bryophyllum, begonia, these plants reproduce by this manner only, means they reproduce by their leaves only. Next is reproduction by cutting stem. Okay, now in the process of reproduction by cutting stem, there is a method or there is a process in which the new plant can be grown with the help of their stem cutting also. What we do in this process? A small piece of a mature stem with some buds on it is cut off from the parent plant. Means in this, we have to cut a small piece of a mature stem in which there should be some buds on it, and this small piece of a mature stem is cut away from the parent plant. Then this piece of stem is then planted into the soil and watered regularly, provided nutrients regularly. Then after some time, this piece of stem will develop roots, buds, and eventually it will grow into a new plant. For example, rose, sugarcane, bougainvillea, cactus, hibiscus, all of these are some plants which can be grown in this manner only. All right? An amazing fact again, the health and vigor of the parent plant directly influence the strength of the new cuttings. All right? The next topic which we have is crops and cultivation. First of all, what are crops? Crops are the plants only which are usually grown by the farmers. For what purpose? To get food and the other useful products. And the whole process of growing crops in the field is known as cultivation. All right? Now there are two types of crops. Number one, rabi crops, other is kharif crops. What is rabi crops? The crops which are grown in the winter season are known as rabi crops. Example, wheat and barley. But the crops which are grown in the rainy season are known as kharif crops. Example, rice, maize, jowar, bajra, peanuts, jute, cotton, etc. They are kharif crops. Next topic which we have is growing crops. See students, healthy crops are important. Why? Because these healthy crops help in feeding the people or the population of a country. All right? Now there are many or several things which are needed to be kept in the mind by the farmers while they are growing crops in their field. Okay, then a good crop production will also add to the wealth of the nation or the economy. Okay, so now we are going to learn the different stages for growing healthy crops. All right. First of all, the very first step is plowing the field. Means the first step of growing crop is known as plowing. Now, what is the purpose of plowing? In this, we have to turn over the upper layer of the soil and bring the fresh nutrients to the above surface. Okay. Also, this plowing helps in burying the weeds and the remains of previous crops so that they are allowed to break down inside the ground. Also, this plowing will aerate the soil and it will allow it to hold moisture. This is how the plowing is done in the fields. Second step is sowing the seed. Means after plowing the field properly, the second step is to plant or sow the healthy seeds on the field. Okay? And this process of planting healthy seeds is known as sowing. Then next we have what? Addition of fertilizer. Means after plowing the field, sowing the seeds, third step is to what? Mix fertilizer, means certain nutritious substances into the soil, so that the crops can be grown better and they can grow in a kind of soil which is rich in minerals. Alright? Now there are two types of fertilizers. Number one, manure, other is chemical fertilizer. What is manure? Manure is a natural fertilizer. How it is made? It is made from the remains of dead and decaying plants or from the cow dung. It is a kind of natural and organic fertilizer. Secondly, we have chemical fertilizers. These are man-made fertilizers like urea, nitrates, phosphates. All these are what? Chemical fertilizers. Next step after adding fertilizers into the soil is irrigation. What is it? It is a process in which water is supplied to land artificially. Now the plants need water also for a healthy growth. So for that, the soil or the field needs to be provided water, and the process of supplying water to the land artificially, that is known as irrigation process. As we know, the crops need water to grow. So farmers need to water their crops at the right time in the right amount. After that, crop protection means now the crops need to be protected from the herbivorous animals also at the time of their growth. And how this can be done? It can be done by installing either a fence around the field so that the animals could not enter inside the field. And beside this, there are some pests also like rat, mice, insect. They also harms the growing crops. Okay, so for that purpose, the farmers use pesticides, insecticide to kill all these pests. Okay, DDT and gamexine. These are some common insecticides which are used by the farmers. Next is harvesting and storage. Now students, after the crops have been fully grown, they have been fully matured, now it's the time of gathering the ripened crop from the field. And this process where we gather the ripened crops from the field is known as harvesting. And after the harvesting of crops, all these grains like wheat and rice, they need to be stored also. And they are stored in godowns. Why? Because this protects them from getting spoiled by the moisture or eaten by the rats, birds and insects. Okay? If we talk about vegetables and fruits, so these are the type of food items which cannot be stored for a long period as they are very perishable. Okay? They cannot be stored for a long time at room temperature because they get spoiled very quickly, right? So therefore, these fruits and vegetables are stored in cold storage. Okay? Amazing fact. The seeds which get attached to our clothes or to fur of animals are called burrs. We have discussed this, that what? There are some seeds which have hooks over them and they get attached either to the fur of the animals or to the clothes of the human being. So such type of seeds are known as burrs. And these seeds have small hoops which cling to the tiny loops in our clothes. Secondly, plants do not have the ability to move. This we all know that plants cannot move from one place to another. Why? Because they do not have any moving organs on them. But there are some parts of the plant which show certain movements, but the whole plant cannot move from one place to another. And because of this reason, they must rely on some external factors to facilitate the process of fertilization. All right. So that's all for the chapter. This was the whole reproduction process and the different methods by which the reproduction takes place in the plants. All right. We have also discussed the whole crop production process also. And I hope the chapter was very clear to you. Okay. So now let's meet in the next session with a new and exciting topic of science. Till then, keep learning, keep going well, and thanks to everyone.